Hello, I'm so thrilled that you have stopped by to join me on this live streaming today. We are 3 days to the end of our year of 2018, and I have a few things to share with you today. But as always, let's start with tea. I've had this pot of tea here brewing, waiting for me to pour and have a cup of tea with you. So I'm going to start there. And I'm going to thank you for joining me for tea today. There we go. Beautiful, lovely hot cup of tea. And I am really thrilled that it's the end of 2018, because 2018 for us has been a very challenging year. And I have heard from absolutely everybody I've asked how their 2018 has been. And every one of them has said it's been a difficult year. So this is why I'm excited about the fact that we're nearing the end of the year, because I am looking forward to 2019, and I'm hoping that 2019 is going to be really, really excellent for everybody. And because I am so we about being here and being available and ready to answer questions and support you in your journey, we continued through the valley and the mountains and the trials of live streaming, because we just had so many challenges, and we're not letting it stop us. We actually, in fact, are planning on 2019 being a year of being really committed to this live streaming, in the hopes that we can live stream every week, if not twice a week, but at least every week. And in fact, when we look back on 2018 and we see we are on episode 35 now, that means we've done on average about 3 live streams a month. And so it's not too bad considering the challenges we had, because there was a couple of times that it appeared that we're just not going to be able to do this. But we pressed on, and here we are. And I want to talk to you about something quite important, and that being this matter of burnout, because I've heard so many people talk about their difficulties of 2018. And I, in fact, heard a testimony from a mom a couple of days ago. And it was a difficult testimony to hear, and I have permission to share it with you, which I'm going to do, because although it's not my story, it's her story. It has a very exciting end to it, even though it starts off quite seriously. And that is, this mom gave up on her home education, which she called homeschooling, because of burnout. And I have touched on this topic of burnout before in previous videos. And I have shared my testimony and said that I never experienced burnout while home educating. And I know the reason why I never did, because our home education journey was very different in the fact that there was a lot of opportunity for us to actually just be still. Because our daughter had a chronic illness, so she had to have infusions, blood infusions, which meant that we had to be still. And so we spent time being still and spent a lot of time in the Word, and a huge amount, copious amounts of time in read aloud time. And so I believe that those enforced almost, not because of us being super wise and just, knowing the importance of this balance and being still, because we didn't. Our situation was such that we had no other option but to be still. I mean, that's what you do when your child is hooked up to infusions. You don't run around and spend time on the phone or be busy. You actually sit with your child. I mean, if your child was chronically ill in hospital, I would imagine that becomes your focus. That's what you're doing. You're looking after that chronically ill child. You're not concerning yourself with whether they're going to be ready for the concert at the end of the year. You just concern yourself with them getting better. Okay, so because that was our life, it caused us to have a lot of opportunity and moments to be still. And in that being still, we came to know more and more of the Word of God and what He teaches us from that. And that, as you might have or might not have watched the videos we did at the beginning of 2018, talking about the founding scriptures of Oikos, being seek first the kingdom of God and His righteousness, and the things will be added to you. So I did a video on that, and I hope you can watch it. It's in a call to here. on our Oikos site, there's a video tab. And under that, the menu of that video tab is a series called Call to Hear. And I have spoken there about the founding scriptures. And I would like to now just spend a moment talking about the videos on the Oikos website before I continue with the story about the testimony of the mom who had burnout and what happened to her and what she did about it and what her situation is today. As I said, it's got an exciting ending. So, but before I just dive into that, I just want to mention now, today, in this very end of 2018, that we plan on continuing to bring you these videos. That is the plan, because we are so serious about helping you in this walk, this journey that you have chosen for your family. And we have noticed, because it's nearing the end of the year and we look at what is the plan for 2019, and we have to spend some time praying about it and seeking God, seeking first His kingdom. And we noticed that there had been a very, very small percentage of the people that come to the Oikos site actually spend time on receiving what we have to give them with regard to the videos. So I wanted to take this opportunity at the end of this year to encourage you, please, for 2019, just to absorb as much as you possibly can from the video support on the Oikos site, because it's there for you. You don't have to pay anything for it. You know, it is a service to you. Obviously, when you come on the site, you're coming to look for resources and you purchase something. And thank you for that, because that is funding that comes in and that supports us being able to continue to help you. But we are so serious about the video support that we have done for you, and that is why we've pushed through with this live streaming, and that is why we're not prepared to give up, even though it has been such a challenge and such a trial, because in fact we want to bring you even more. And one of the reasons has been confirmed for us from this testimony that I heard, that I'm going to tell you about now. This mom, she said that she felt that she needed to home educate. That was the choice that they made as a family from when her children were little. And so they started home educating. But she said she's now I forgot. It's some acronym label she gave herself. It's sort of certain type of person, and she gave it a name, and I don't remember it right now. But she said that because she was that kind of person, she was very structured, and she needed to make sure that her children did all the formal things that she thought was what home education was about, homeschooling. She was homeschooling them actually initially for the reason of them getting an excellent academic education. She felt she could do better in giving them that by them being at home than if she put them in the system of the school system. So she did that. And she didn't last very long, because she said that she got worn out because she was trying to do everything. She said they were spending hours and hours every day on formal learning. She then had another baby, and now she was really putting herself under enormous amount of stress and pressure because she wasn't able to get to her children's formal learning because she was busy with the baby. And she just eventually couldn't do it. She said, I just felt as such a failure. That's what she said. She said, I really felt like I had just failed and I couldn't do this. As much as she felt passionate about it and she felt that it was what was better for her children, she eventually decided she couldn't even face the day, and so she put them in school. And now she speaks very strongly about her view regarding the difference between her sense of failing in not being able to do everything she felt she wanted to do, tick all her boxes and get everything done, as well as a new baby in the home and so on. And she said the difference between, if she had to choose that, where she felt that she wasn't giving them all that she had hoped, versus the picture that she had of her children being in school and what she was, the fruit of that. She didn't use those words. She said the results that she was seeing in her children from them being in school to the results that she saw in them, the fruit from them, that's what I call it, was so dramatic to her that she decided she's bringing them home again, in spite of the fact that she didn't feel she was going to be able to do it. Because she couldn't leave them in the system, because she saw what her children, the fruit of her children, wasn't looking like what she wanted for her children. And she said they were even better off when she felt she was failing them. They were even better off as far as them as people is concerned. They were happy. And she didn't have problems with them. But now she says she was having all kinds of problems that she was having to deal with. And she said she in herself didn't feel burnt out when they were going to school, as in, it's all too much for me, I can't cope, I can't do this. But her heart felt very, very heavy laden and very distressed. So she decided that she's going to not put them in school the following year. And they had been in the school system for 2 years. So they'd been at home for 2 years, and they were in the school system for 2 years. They've since been home now another 2 years. So she's got this 2 years at home, 2 years in school, now 2 years at home again. And she said she decided the only way she's going to cope with them being back at home is if she goes with a very more relaxed approach to home education, which she called homeschooling. So she said she heard about KONOS, and this is the exciting part. As you may or may not know by now, I get very excited about KONOS, but this mom heard about KONOS, and she said she looked at it. Oh, no, Jamie, could you please pass me that KONOS manual over there? I meant to put it close by. She said she looked at this KONOS manual, and she said one part of it really excited her, because she thought, oh, yay, good, there's just so much here for me. I'm going to show you the book, although they come in a file now. But she was excited about this big, thick book. Thanks, Jamie. She got excited about it. Some people feel terrified and daunted by it, but she was excited because she liked the fact that there were lesson plans. And so she was going to follow the lesson plans in the book. And she was going to be able to, this was going to be, have a lot in it for her. And so she had all this work. That's the part that appealed to her, believe it or not, about KONOS. And she very quickly caught herself realizing that, wait, there I go again. I'm looking at the lesson plans, and I'm now trying to put everything in order and see to it that we formalize it all once again. So she says she stopped herself, and she decided to spend time in looking into how to home educate in a more relaxed way. And she was like almost trying to train herself to deformalize herself. And she did that. She was very intentional about that. And the reason why I'm telling you this particular mom's testimony is because this mom took time to train herself to not go back into burnout. Okay, so that's why I just know this is a very important story that I'm telling you, a very important testimony, because whoever can watch this, and even if whoever's watching it at the moment, thank you for joining me. And please, if you know other moms that you feel this will benefit for them to hear this testimony, I'm just going to encourage you to please tell them to watch it. We put the live streaming on the Oikos homepage afterwards. After we've finished the live stream, it goes on to the homepage a couple of days later. But I'm asking you to please share this, because I believe it can make a difference for people in 2019. Because I'm going to encourage moms to really dial it back for 2019. If you are one of those moms that is just feeling you just can't do it, there's just too much, I'm going to ask you to please review your lot and eliminate whatever you possibly can. I'm going to emphasize the less is best philosophy, because I really believe it is. I really believe that less is best, because I can assure you that if you are overdoing it, you are at more risk. Even if you think that by doing all these extras, you're giving your children more, you're actually at risk of it getting to the point where you can't do it anymore. Rather than believing that if you do less, you're actually doing your children a service, a greater service. Even if you've got children that want to achieve and that want to do so much, even if you've got children like that, or a child like that, and one is like that and one is not like that, we all know as parents that our children are so individual. But I'm going to ask you as mom, let's just put that aside for a moment. I'm going to ask you as the mother that has got 2019 ahead of you to please look at your lot and try and trim it. And please, I'm also asking you to, if you can, spend a bit of time on equipping yourself in with the less is best. the simplification. I mean, God in his word even says in 1 Thessalonians, and that's why it's one of our second founding scripture. We've got 3 founding scriptures. And I've spoken about all 3 of those on the Call to Hear series. But the one is, make it your ambition to lead a quiet and simple life. I don't know that many of us are doing that. I don't think it's an ambition of society to keep it simple. I think it's an ambition of societies to pack in as much as we possibly can. And there's danger in that. And we can see, and that's why I come back to this mom's testimony, because she saw for herself the difference between her life when she was trying to formalize everything and do the best for her children by giving them as much as she could, and then putting them in the system of the school because she felt would be better for them. And then she came back home and she simplified. And she got her big fat Konos manual and she tried to do the lesson plans, and then she decided, oops, I'm falling into the trap of trying to do too much. So let me ignore the lesson plans and let me just read the activities. And this is how we did Konos, and this is how we encourage others to do it. And this is why I'm excited about it. Let me get the Konos manual back again. Yeah, tossed it on the floor. Because the colored pages are the lesson plans, which we encourage you to skip over. And then the white pages are the activities, all the different activities. Now, this mom said she started reading through just the activities, and she was thinking about her children, and she was thinking how much some of the activities, she would think of one particular child. Oh, that child would love to do that activity because she knew that child loves drawing, and this activity was about drawing. The next activity was building something. And so she thought, oh, my son would really enjoy that because he's so good with his hands. And she started realizing that there was so much to offer her in the Konos manual that would suit all of her children. She just needed to pick them accordingly. And then she started thinking, oh my goodness, now actually I picked that activity for that child and that activity for that child. And she suddenly realized again that now she's overloading herself. So she thought, right, she's going to pick one activity from the Konos manual and she's going to do that the next day. And that's what they did, as a whole family. And by the end of the week, she knew she had covered the hands-on activity for the child that loved that and the drawing activity for the child that loved it, but all of them did it. And she suddenly started seeing the fruit of how the child that's not particularly fond of doing things with their hands was having opportunity to grow in that when they were doing that particular activity. And the one who was enthusiastic and passionate about it was passing on that passion, that excitement to the other children, because that's the thing that he loved to do. He loved to do things with his hands. When it came to the drawing activity, he wasn't so keen. But the child that loved drawing would pass on to the child that wasn't so interested in drawing. So this is why I said the end of this testimony is exciting, because this mom ended up discovering that she just did one Konos activity a day, and then they were doing 2 Konos activities a day, and she said one Konos activity could take a week actually, and another time they could do 3 Konos activities in one day. But to start out, she made herself think that I'm just going to do one a day, one that will just work for all of us. And she started getting the value of the fruit from Konos. And she went on to share about how excited she was. She just couldn't speak highly enough about Konos. She just says it was the best thing she could have done to get back into deformalizing herself when it came to, feeling like she was overloading herself with too much. And she said that she could have been put off by Konos because people said it requires a lot from you and there's too much preparation and all of that. But she realized when she saw the manual that this was about training her children's character, and she had seen some negative aspects of that with them having been in the school system, and she wanted to focus on that. And this manual was going to help her focus on the training of her children's character. And so she started there. And then she added she put in some language lessons, and she started realizing, but wait a minute, we don't have to overlap here. Today's Konos activity was writing out a scripture from the Bible for us to memorize. And so all of them wrote out the scripture, and she realized they were doing literature, language studies while they were doing it. And she saw in the Konos manual that down the side of the page, it tells you that, what that activity is covering. Health and safety, practical living, arts and crafts, science, history, arts and crafts, reasoning. So she realized that while they were doing these activities, they were actually doing some of her formal lessons that she had felt before, the season before they went to school, she had felt was so necessary for her to see to it that was done. They were now, this was now happening, the formal, in this more relaxed and fun way. She actually found the children were happy again and they were having a lot of fun together. And she was having fun. She wasn't so stressed as she had been. So she then, as I say, when she saw that she was bringing the literature, they were doing language anyway, she wouldn't then sit down and get them to write, do a language lesson that involved writing, because they'd done writing that day. So she said, so she actually started feeling this freedom come about her, where she felt, I don't need to do language today with the children. They've done writing. We did writing with Konos, so we won't do writing today. We'll just do maths only. And it was so exciting to hear how this whole testimony changed, whereby she was becoming so liberated from her own trap of feeling that she had to do, all these subjects, and she had to see to it that her children were being well educated in the formal, because today they've done their writing, so that's fine. So we'll just do some maths. And she said they'd go to do maths and she'd realize, oh, today's lesson for this one is about fractions and this one's about decimals and this one. So I'll let them just do a little bit of maths, each of them, for half an hour or so. And then we're going to go into the kitchen. And she took maths into the kitchen. And because she knew that one child was focusing on fractions in his lesson, his maths formal lessons in his book, and the other one was focusing on decimals and percentages and whatever, she would know to focus on that when they were in the kitchen, either making lunch. In fact, she shared how she brought that into the lunchtime, where they all now started preparing the meal together. She said, before they went to school, she would never have thought of getting her children to prepare lunch with her. She used to think that she had to prepare lunch. She had to see to get all their learning done, and then she had to make sure that the lunch was ready for them. And now they were busy in the kitchen together, having done as little time as possible in the maths book, and a long time in the kitchen together, including the cleanup and everything else. Oh, there was another thing she said. She said they've never spent so much time cleaning their house together, because she says they actually have 3 tidy up times in the day, not just one, because she says they tidy up, in the morning, and then they do their whatever activities they're doing, and then they tidy up again. So she says they have these sort of tidy up sessions throughout the day. We tidy up before lunch, and then we tidy up before supper or after supper, whatever it was. So she had like the structure going on in her home that just happened, because it just became life. And the best part of it all, as she attributes it all to Konos. She says Konos is what did it for her. So it's hard to explain in just sitting here chatting with you the hugeness of that, the big impact of that. But I was so excited to hear that testimony, because this mom had gone through these 3 different cycles of home educating very formally and getting herself thoroughly burnt out. That's what she said. And then to putting them in the school system, and then being at home and forcing herself, being intentional about equipping herself to be relaxed about homeschooling. Now, I think she doesn't call it homeschooling anymore. That's why I kept on saying that's what she was calling it. I think she calls it, I can't recall right now. She had a lovely way of saying it, like life at home. I mean, that wasn't what it was, but she wasn't even calling it home education or homeschooling it or anything. She was calling it something to be with being at home, life at home, something like that. So she had actually removed school and schooling from her own way of thinking. And so I'm telling you this whole story right at the end of 2018 to ask you to share this with others and to think about it deeply yourself, and to consider whether your 2019 can perhaps be one of getting to a place of freedom in your own thoughts and your own thinking and the way that you are going to live your learning lifestyle at home with your family. Because it can result, there can be a variety of different results. You could be at the end of 2018 feeling thoroughly exhausted. You could even feel that maybe you don't know that you can do 2019 as home education. Maybe you this was your first year and you found it all too much. Maybe this is your 5th year and you're finding it's time to think about it differently, as far as you can't go on the way you are, for whatever those reasons might be. But I'm here to encourage you to press on in 2019 and to assure you. I would like to put some sort of guarantee on it, which obviously I can't do because, I can't control what's going to be the outcome in your life, or I wouldn't even want to do that. But I would like to encourage you to realize that less is best. Simplification, to remove the complexity. I know that's been my test this last year on a different level, not within home education, but we have had more and more complexity. It can actually ensnare you. It can actually be like a trap where you're involved in all this complexity instead of just removing the complexity and simplifying and finding the simple way to proceed. So I'm hoping that your 2019 is going to be that. I'm hoping it's going to be a simple journey for you, that you're going to just find that you have time to play with your children, to have fun with them, to learn from others. The testimony I've just shared with you from the mom who did have burnout, and she has finally discovered that actually just sitting doing Konos activities, her children are doing formal learning. And she didn't even realize it. Playing is learning. I know I speak a lot about that as well in previous videos. I'm going to again encourage you to watch the videos that we've made for you on the website. We didn't make those videos for ourselves. We made them for you, and we've made them available for you to hopefully spend time equipping yourself and watching them. I realize that everybody's got their own view, and you might not agree with home education being simplified as to what I'm expressing here, but I'm not going to change how serious I feel about the importance of simplicity and the importance of taking time to read to your children, play games with your children, enjoy them. Because of our own testimony and our own journey, I have seen such great value from our circumstances causing it to be that is the journey we were on, the one of where you're not going to take out a maths book when your child is critically ill. Instead, you're going to read the word to them, or you're going to read aloud a novel, or you're going to do something that's really pleasurable. And you found that child who you were just helping survive actually was being equipped for life, for adult life. You didn't even know if they're going to make it to adult life. But here we are going into 2019, and we have a daughter that's prognosis was so severe, so serious, very few years to live was the prognosis. And she's with us, and a happily married lady. So I know that in 2019, I'm going to be doing more live streaming, in encouraging you to join me on live streaming so I can share more and more with you of the importance of keeping it simple, and the importance of taking your days, your moments with your children, and turning your moments into treasures. And that doesn't look like sitting doing all these formal lessons and seeing to it that the children are sitting all day at a desk. Well, not all day, but I mean, it is actually starting to turn out to be that, where home educators seem to be spending more time on academics and formal than what the children in the school system are even getting close to. Yet I would think that there's opportunity, and if you're home educating it, for it to be the opposite way around, where you've got more time to have fun. And, you don't have to have your children in school all morning or 2/3 of the day, and then they come home and they're doing homework all afternoon or for a few hours of the day, whatever it is. There's just formal in that picture. But the home educators are having the same picture at home as in formal. And to me, I'm witnessing that and going, but you're missing out on all the opportunity to have fun. So I'm sure I've made my point clear by now. So now I'm going to go and have a look and see who's been joining me there. On today's, oh dear, that didn't work out, did it, Jamie? It's just, I've come here and it says you're not connected. So give me a moment, ladies, whoever's there, please don't leave. I just want to quickly see who's there so that I can say hello to you. Oh, Sylvie's there. Yay, thank you, Sylvie. And your girls, and they love Skunk Bingo. Now you see, that is fantastic. I'm so excited to hear that. In fact, I recall, Sylvie, you saying that you were looking forward to playing the Skunk Bingo. Sylvie is a mom who's been on our live streaming with us before as a guest, and I hope she will be again. In fact, she has already said she will be. So I'm going to remind you, Sylvie, that when you've all had a chance to play all of these games, you're going to come and tell everybody about it. Because Sylvie decided to take fun to the next level, and she got a game for each one of her children. I think she got 2 games for each one of her children. And she thought about the child, and she got a game that fitted what that child's interest was, and their personality and so on and so forth. So she's got all these games, and now that's what they're doing. They're playing games, and know that an enormous amount of learning is happening while they're playing these games. So thank you for letting me know that the Skunk Bingo is the best game. I'm so glad you've enjoyed that. I love playing Skunk Bingo, so I hope I can play it with you one day. All right, and let's see, because I wanted to not let this be too long, but I do appreciate you being there with me, Sylvie. And Jamie is sending the link to Skunk Bingo if anybody's interested in wanting to go and see that. But Jamie, what I think we're going to do is going to end this live streaming, because we want to do some other live streaming tests, because as I've said to you ladies, we are serious about keeping this coming for you, these videos and this sharing. So we're going to find as many different ways as we can be effective in that for you as possible. So we're going to say goodbye to you now, and we hope these last 3 days of 2018 are going to be ones where you can reflect upon how you can use 2019 to trim things from 2018 that maybe don't need to be there in 2019. So I hope that we look forward, I look forward to, and I'm expecting to see you in 2019 and share more moments such as this and have tea with you. And I hope you will be ready with any questions that you might have to ask me on our live streaming sessions going forward. Thank you for being with me. Bye for now.